What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Lore Reloaded. I am your wondrous guest, or not guest, but a host, Lore Reloaded. Happy to have everyone here. Hey, if you're just getting in watching this video on demand, you know exactly how this works. I'm going to throw a couple of things out at you and then say hi to a couple of people. Then we'll just get into it. So with that out of the way, remember, please go to twitter.com/Lore Reloaded. If anything happens to this channel, or you want updates, or you want opinions, definitely take a look there. That's going to be where a lot of the updates are. I also have my editor coming in. He's going to be a part of the show today. Hey, if you like gaming, generally on Saturdays, Mondays, and Tuesdays, I'll be doing twitch.tv/Lore Reloaded, even probably on Thursdays and Fridays as well. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Definitely be sure to follow me there. If you like this channel and you want to see it grow, we are completely fan-funded here, so please consider doing a super chat, becoming a sponsor by hitting the green button on YouTube, or checking out patreon.com/Lore Reloaded. With all of that out of the way, let's see who is here. Says Bobby Coggin says, love your videos. I'm also being told that the mic is a bit scratchy. The mic should not be scratchy. Let's check that out real quick. It's always good that things start out just this epic. Give me a second, guys, while I check it. No, everything should be good. Let me hear on my side real quick. Give me a second. Give me a second. That is scratchy. What's going on with that? Give me a second, guys. We'll do this on the fly. I'm not sure why it'd be scratchy. Wasn't having any issues. I'm using a Blue Yeti. Yep, everything's set up good on that side. Let me switch the audio out real quick. You want to see it bad? Watch this. Boom. Probably a lot worse. All right, let me set it back. All right, is that any better? Let me know in the comments. And while we're waiting, let's see. Again, Bobby Coggins, I love you. Sup 335 into his house. Old Firemaster, always a party with Old Firemaster. We got Joshua, Donald Hudson, Imperious Gaming. Travis, who is a sponsor, who is awesome. Edricon, Old Edricon, Andrew Fall, Andrew Close, always a party. Darren Wagner, the Darren Wagner is here, folks. Star Chaser, of course. So let's just jump into it. Let's go ahead and talk about it. Drop it like it's hot, because there is nothing else going on that's important tonight, right? There's nothing going on that's important tonight, right? There's no event, no movies or anything like that that's going on that we need to be aware of. Am I right? I'm right. All right, so I have only seen Season 1 of The Expanse, and Star Trek Discovery only has Season 1. But before we get into that, Andrew Close, glad your PC is working. Yeah, I was having some issues with my PC, which put me out of commission for a day or two. Also been having some stuff behind the scenes. It's really been on me. So all that straightened out. You guys are going to get about 6 to 7 videos next week. You're really going to enjoy it, especially since I have a real editor. That isn't just this guy right behind me. But let's talk about Season 1. Let's talk about Star Trek Discovery. Because when I think about those two, because I was comparing it, I really love The Expanse. I think it's very well written. It's very human, for lack of a better word. It's more realistic, for sure. But Discovery is a lot of those things, too. It's not as realistic, because you're in the Trek universe, and Expanse is much more, in my opinion, realistic than Trek. But they're both very dark. But it's okay for one to be dark, and not okay for another one. If you're having issues with it syncing, try a refresh. I know YouTube's been having some issues with that. But why is it okay... why is it okay for The Expanse to be so dark and Discovery not to be? I'd love your guys' opinion on that. Just because something's nostalgic in the way it's been, does that mean it has to stay that way? Let me give you an example. If you look at the original Battlestar Galactica, not the 80s Writers Gone Insane version, but the original, it is it's interesting. It seems like a lot more lighthearted than the reimagined. But I love the reimagined. So I could understand how someone might love Discovery, but not like TNG. But if you, and it's similar to that, I guess maybe the fan base isn't as big on Battlestar Galactica, but a lot of the original, a lot of the people who like the original hate the reimagined. So what are your guys' thoughts on that? Why is the Expanse okay, but why is Discovery not? Now, a couple of people are saying that they haven't seen the Expanse. I would wholeheartedly suggest you watch the Expanse. It is somewhat dark, so if you like your fiction more TNG, more DS9, you're not going to enjoy the Expanse, I don't think. But if you enjoy a really well put together storyline, let me say this. I like The Walking Dead. I think people are crazy who get upset at Season 8. But Season 8 did drag on. Season 8 felt like it just kept going on and on and on and on, and there were just filler episodes. The Expanse, however, kept me there every episode, and it felt like every episode you were getting something out of it. So every episode had something new. It brought something new to the table. It expanded the universe. It expanded the characters. And with an exception here and there, it didn't really drag on. And I was invested in every one of the characters for different reasons. And I wonder if I was watching Discovery for the first time and didn't have Trek before, if I'd feel the same way about Discovery. It is only on Amazon. It's not on Netflix right now, as far as I'm aware. Zontar says it's only on Netflix outside of Canada, the US, and New Zealand. Okay. I'm watching it on Amazon. Bobby Calkins, I think people don't like Discovery because they're rewriting an established history. The Discovery might be better received if it took place after Voyager in the movies. That's something common that I think that comes up. It probably would have done better. I love how they're scrambling. People, you have some quotes saying that that they had to redo it due to obligations, and them saying no, we didn't have to redo it due to obligations. You can't trust anything Discovery writers, behind the scene people say. You just can't. But again, the Expanse also... One thing on the Expanse, I think, too, is that it feels like... And this may not be true, but I really like this. It feels like people can actually die in the Expanse. That no one is never necessarily safe. Aaron Alexander, hey, what's going on? And I really like that in my shows. One of the reasons I like The Walking Dead, and I know it's not completely that way on The Walking Dead, but The Walking Dead, people can die. And I love that no one's safe. On Star Trek Discovery, they're safe. They're not going to die. Now, in Star Trek... But that brings up another thing. Star Trek, they shouldn't. That's not something you generally have in Star Trek, right? So if they did that, that would be outside of the norm. But I guess that's kind of the point of Discovery. It's not Star Trek like we know it was. It's trying to be dark. It's trying to be gritty. You have implied sexual assault. You have cursing. You have gore. So it's not trying to be what you had in Deep Space Nine and TNG. Andrew Close says the Expanse creators went with a more true to life as we know it. Star Trek as Roddenberry created it. And ran both TOS and TNG is humanity idealized of growing past a species' major flaws. So the Expanse creators was more true to life, and Star Trek was supposed to be idealized. Of that I agree on the originals. But Discovery is not something... I think anybody who looked at Discovery can't, with a straight face, say that Gene Roddenberry would have agreed with it, right? They don't really have to follow that common idealized. I guess if you looked at Discovery on its own, it would be all right. But it would still be kind of, even if we took the Star Trek out of it, Discovery is very cookie cutter. You know, it's very soap opera-ish, and doesn't have what it takes to go that mile. So I think they're trying for the best of both worlds. Haha! They're trying to have their cake and eat it too, and they're failing at both. How good was the space fight in Expanse, though? I really like the space fights in Expanse. The ones I've seen. I've only seen season 1. I'm going to watch season 2, season 3, but I think season 1 was really interesting. I liked everything they're putting together. The special effects look great for me. But honestly, if the special effects looked crap, I would still like it just because the writing is so good. In Season 2 and 3, the fights get even better. Great, no spoilers. I'll completely delete it and put you in timeout if you give me spoilers. Just look at the MCRN Donager battle versus Discovery. Anyone and any ship can die. Can the USS Enterprise and Discovery die? That's what I'm saying. I guess what makes it okay in The Expanse, and this may be a very short video if we don't go anywhere more with this, but what makes it okay in The Expanse is that since they're not pre-established, they can do anything they want, and they don't have anything to live up to. And they can kill off characters. I've never really liked prequels all that much. Any prequel. Because we know how it ends. Like, I'm a huge Halo fan. I've played up until recently, I've played all of the Halo games. Last Halo game I played, though, was like Halo 3 or Halo Reach. I just grew out of it. I went to do other things. But Halo Reach, I love that game, but it was a prequel, and I really didn't like it because I know how it ended, right? So I know the Enterprise is going to survive, especially just given. The only thing I don't know is if it's going to be a female in command of it before Kirk or whatnot. I haven't seen... So, Sup 335 says try Babylon 5. I haven't seen all of Babylon 5. The episodes I have seen, I would honestly say, just based on it, the middle ground between The Expanse and Deep Space Nine feels like what Babylon 5 is. Hayner Tim, well, now that you've watched The Expanse, any chance you're watching Westworld? Maybe eventually. It doesn't really pull me all that much, but more importantly, I need to finish The Expanse and start doing videos on it. My first video coming out was going to be this week, should be next week. It's going to be lore breakdown of the OPA, because I find them intriguing. Gregorio Feitosa. All arguments are reasonable and justified, but personally I'm okay because since TNG, Star Trek usually doesn't have good first seasons, good pilots, no doubt about that, but not good enough first seasons. I would agree that the season 1 of every Star Trek has been abysmal. The one thing I would say is, to my knowledge, I don't think we've ever had the people who are the showrunners lie as much as the people who ran the TNG, who ran Deep Space Nine, just patent liars. And I don't think we've had to that degree. By the way, I wonder why I'm never going to get any partnership with CBS. For your information, the MCRN Donager is the Expanse Martin USS Enterprises. I don't get that. I love the ship railguns in the Expanse. They sound and feel great. The ships also feel real. You know, one thing I liked about the Expanse, the battle with the MCRN Donager, and one thing I really enjoy is that they make people out to be bad guys. And then it turns out that they're actually people. They're actually human. I liked the captain. I liked the captain of the MCRN Donager. I liked her depth. I liked the XO. I forget his name. The UN, There may be mild spoilers here, guys. So if you don't like spoilers, then watch it and then come back and rewatch this. I liked how the XO had more depth than just I'm the stereotypical bad guy that's going to be the foil to the person that we've captured. Riker the Sergal. It could be a high-level exec passing an order to lower-level managers, and managers just told them that to shut them up. Are you talking about how the showrunners are liars? Because if you are, that's fine. If someone orders me to tell you a lie or I lose my job, if I tell you that lie, have I still told a lie? The answer to that would be yes. It is actually funny, though. There has been some behind the scenes that I've heard. CBS has reached out to other YouTube channels. It's unlikely they'd ever partner with me. And I'm okay with that, in fact. I don't know that I would accept a partnership with CBS. I mean, I might be tempted, but I don't know that I would. Hey, Laura, thoughts on the Arizona-class fanship? Have I seen the Arizona-class fanship? For Star Trek? Link it to me. Or, no, yeah, you should be able to link it. Link it to me here or send it to James at lorereloaded.com. Stay true to yourself. Don't sell out. I think partnering with CBS isn't selling out. Let me put that right out there. But for me, I don't think I could in good conscience do that. It'd depend on the conversation, but I don't think I could in good conscience. But anyone who's partnered with CBS, that doesn't make them a sellout. Let's see. But anyway, back to the conversation. Don't give in to the shield side. Why does Discovery not work for you guys? Sincerely, think about it. Why does Discovery not work? Especially if you like The Expanse, or Westworld, I've heard, can be pretty dark. What about Discovery just turns off? Is it the Star Trek moniker? If it is, why can't we just accept, okay, this is the next iteration of Trek? You know? Why can't we be okay with that? Oh, by the way, guys, something cool. I'll be talking about it next week, but I got a two team-ups coming up with Trek Yards, and we'll be talking about some of the models I got behind me. So that'll be next week. I'm looking forward to that. I just started watching The Expanse, currently on 5th episode of Season 1, and it's amazing, says Jan Pearsall. Of that, I would agree. I think it is. It's really good. It's blatant disregard for canon. The tone isn't consistent in Disco. My problem with Discovery, when isolated, is the fact that characters aren't particularly likable or interesting. Well, Zontar, an interesting point to that. I actually do enjoy and like Lorca until the arc with the Terran Empire, and that's just the very end. I actually do like Saru. I loved his character arc. And Tilly, to me, is amazing. Her character arc is amazing. Darren Wagner, Discovery isn't even trying to line itself up with the visual style of Star Trek that was maintained by Paramount. That and the main character is unlikable. Well, that I can agree. I don't know. I liked it. The only thing that I don't much care for is because Burnham's father is Sarek. Well, you're going to start seeing her brothers, too. You're going to see Spock. Spock is going to be in Season 2. And I think they got the actor that was in the JJ verse. I think. I could be wrong on that. Don't quote me on that necessarily. On a side note, I love the JJ films as a callback to TOS. Characters are translated one-to-one. So here's an interesting thing to me. A lot of people don't like the JJ verse, but the JJ verse for me is it's a couple of things that I do enjoy about the JJ verse. First off, they go out of their way to make sure it's not canon, right? They say, hey, they broke off and they did what they want. That said, it does feel like an alternate universe for the original series. It feels like the original series if things had been different. It's a great what-if scenario for me. I really do and can enjoy it for that. The Kelvin Universe, a lot of people get really upset about it, and I think that is a good key point, is that I don't have to match it to Prime. But it seems like when they wrote the JJ Universe, they actually thought about, hey, how would this have impacts in the future? Let me give you an example. The expansion of Section 31. In the original series and before that in Enterprise, Section 31 was just a group of people. In Deep Space Nine, if we believe what the agent said in Deep Space Nine, then it's just a group of people. 10 to 20 maybe 30. But in the JJ verse, after they've had this epic destruction and destruction of the Klingon homeworld, now Section 31 has entire buildings. Section 31 is basically the Tal Shiar for Starfleet. And everybody's okay with that. You saw Kirk. Kirk's reaction to the existence of Section 31 of Black Ops, he wasn't exactly horrified by it. I don't even think he had a negative reaction to that. That makes sense. Section 31 becoming the Tal Shiar after you've had this run-in that we see in the Kelvin timeline makes sense. I don't know if it happened that way on purpose, but it feels like someone actually thought through that. And I like that. Discovery doesn't feel like that at all. They just continue to scream about how this is, Prime and how they're going to make it all okay. But unless you're going to time hop, unless Season 2 is going back in time and stopping this war and then making everything right, changing everything, it's not going to be that. It's not going to be able to sync up. I'd have a lot more respect, a ton more respect, if they just came out and they said, we wanted it to be the original, but now, at this point, it's probably not, but we're going to tell some really good stories. That actually would bring me back to the table. Just them being honest for once in their lives would bring me back to the table. I'm going to watch Season 2, and I hope that I eat my words. Let me say this. If I love Season 2 of Discovery, no one will like it more than me. Your co-star has been pretty quiet on the stream. Actually, that's my editor. He's busy editing right now. This is him consistently editing for me. So he's hard at work. You're watching him right now. Spot is what people like to call him. They have to destroy the mycelium network or else I truly will hate it. Yeah, the whole we're not going to use it because it hurts humans thing it doesn't fly for me at all. So let's look at Discovery as a separate entity from Star Trek. Let's remove it from there, compare it against the Expanse, and we've kind of already talked about this. It's funny, if it's Star Trek Discovery and we're looking at it as a Star Trek, it's too dark. It's not where it needs to be. It's not disappointing, dishonoring previous Star Trek iterations. If we remove the Star Trek moniker and compare Discovery against Expanse and not worry about Star Trek, it's too milquetoast. It's too light. I guess they can't win when it comes to that, really, if I'm being honest. Mark Hayes, BSG was more of taking concepts and ideas from the original, but making its own, while Discovery is taking something and tearing it apart and changing it to an unrecognizable thing. That I could agree. Laura, did you see the new teaser trailer for Star Trek Discovery? I have not. That is the nature of the warp. It hurts any sentient race. It's not a fungus in between universes. Okay. The Expanse's books are much darker than the TV series. I'm going to start reading those. Yeah. In JJ Verse, they found Khan earlier, a military Starfleet with running with Nero is a good motivator. Nero is a one-dimensional but good character. You know, let me see. Let me see this. An object or device in a movie or book that serves merely as a trigger for the plot. I think that's right. I would call Nero a MacGuffin. He is the thing that just gets everything started. Now, my understanding when it comes to Nero is he had a great backstory with the Klingons that really turned him and molded him into what he was, but we never got to see it. I think had we seen it, it might be more intriguing. So he is one-dimensional. He is a MacGuffin. But there's honestly nothing necessarily wrong with one-dimensional characters if they serve their purpose. A MacGuffin isn't necessarily a bad thing. And a lot of people are going to scoff when I say this, but think about Titanic and the evil rich guy, right? He's a one-dimensional character, but he serves his purpose. He moves the plot forward. We don't necessarily need to understand a lot by him. We just need him as a foil. So it's okay for a character to be one-dimensional if they serve their purpose in the plot and they're not someone we focus on too much. Nate Watson up in the house. Nate Watson is always supporting the channel. It's always my pleasure to have Nate Watson on. I really appreciate it. Yeah, he says, yes, $10. Yes, Discovery has continuity issues with other series, but the original continuity had Voyager's continuity and timeline issues. Is it fair to judge Discovery for this while Voyager exists? I think that Voyager is almost universally panned, while not as bad as Discovery, still pretty bad. For, like you say, the continuity gaffes. Except for the most amazing episode of Threshold, it didn't really have a lot going for it. It broke a lot of the continuity. I think that Voyager is better simply because they did somewhat stick to the, I'm going to call it milquetoast ways of putting things together, right? You wouldn't see gore porn. You wouldn't see, you might see implied rape, but not to the extent that we see it in Discovery. You wouldn't see people yelling curse words. Captain Jesse in the house, I'm doing well. Hope you're doing well too. Riker the Sergal, and this has come up a couple times. I saw some other people say it. I would like to point out that Star Trek has always had continuity issues. Star Trek has always had continuity issues in every series except for the original series because they're the original. TNG, Deep Space Nine, Enterprise, Voyager, all of them have. That said, there's a couple of things. The showrunners, unless I'm wrong on this, the showrunners never outright lied and said this is going to be one thing and it's not. And they never, they didn't, you would have to be willful in doing this. Either, one of two things. Either they didn't watch it, they didn't watch the series, they didn't know Star Trek, or they willfully and knowingly broke things without caring about it. Voyager has a couple of examples of that. Voyager didn't care about continuity as much. But usually showrunners and the people who were putting it together cared about the continuity and tried very, very hard to stick with established canon. And so you either have, it was one or the other. There's no way this could have happened. There's no other way this would have happened. They had to do it one of two ways, and it's either willful or extreme ignorance. Take your pick. Jay Wiggs, how's it, Lore? How's it with you, buddy? Would support your channel via mail, but with the crazy people these days, probably can't do that. Yeah, if you're asking for my home address, you're not going to do that. You're going to have to work for it. I have been thinking about getting a P.O. box, but I don't know. It's not that kind of channel. I may not. I don't know. let's see. I think the dark sci-fi is what sells now. The problem is making that works with Star Trek. Here's an interesting thing to that, Victor Delvis. I was actually talking to the Anti-Trekker about that today. I called him up because we were talking about something else. He was concerned because I hadn't done any video uploads. I talked to him about that, and he brought up a good point, because I said that. I said, people want... We were talking about the Infinity Wars. I said, the day and age now, people want dystopian. That's just what people are going for. But he brought up a good point. If that's true, why are Marvel movies hitting it out of the park? They're probably as far from dystopian as you can get. I thought that was compelling. I thought that was interesting. Because I get Hollywood saying, or people saying that these shows are reflective of culture and culture wants dystopian. But the Marvels are just one of the best selling. By the way, guys, if you haven't already, like this channel. Why do I only got 27 with 90 people watching? What's up with that? Hit that thumb button. And turn off that pesky ad block. Just kidding about the last part. I don't really care. If you have watched YouTube, you might get that reference, though. Thumbs up if you got the reference. Marvel is making fun of itself from ages now. I'm not sure if they are a good comparison. What if Star Trek Discovery takes place in the JJ verse? I would respect it a hell of a lot more. I would respect it a hell of a lot more if they said, you know what? This is JJ verse. Done. Everything fits at that point. Yeah, me and Matt actually don't get along, believe it or not. Kind of funny. Early in my career, him and I clashed. But yeah, I mean, I would, or if they, it's what I said earlier. I said this earlier, I'm not going to repeat myself too much, right? But, if they came out and they said, you know what, hey, we wanted this to be a Prime timeline, but for whatever reason it isn't. We can't work with Prime timeline. Okay, fair enough. We're going to make the best story we can, but we can't guarantee that it's going to fit with Prime. I don't know why they couldn't do that. Everybody's calling them out on their garbage anyway. So just say it, and then I'll come to the table. Vico says, shh, you move too much, you're disturbed. The funny thing is he's actually used to being there. So I'll get frustrated and I'll push myself back and he'll just lay there. I'll get up. I used to do Let's Plays before the channel really came into its own. If you watch me on twitch.tv/Laura Reloaded, you'll see me do it there. If I get frustrated, I'll push away and stand up, and he continues to lay there. Doesn't bug him. Chase up in the house. Hey, just a random note here. It's the 100th anniversary this week for the first tank and tank battle. Okay. Awesome. I don't know if that's real life or some game. We don't know what kind of universe it is. We know that's supposed to be Prime. They say Season 2 is going to fix all the issues. I don't believe them. I hope I'm wrong. I hope they do. I hope they show me up. I hope Season 1 is like any season. I hope like TNG, like Deep Space Nine, because I wouldn't have been a fan of those if I was doing a review on those. Because they were pretty weak, especially TNG, but Deep Space Nine wasn't much better. And I hope it comes around. A lot of people think that I want to hate the episode. I would love to eat my words. In fact, if you were watching the shows, every Sunday when it came out, the Anti-Trekker and I, this is where he actually got his start, was on my channel, and he's going to forget me when he makes more subscribers than me. Night Headless Chicken, thanks for coming by. We would do a video immediately after, just giving our first impressions. And the mid-season finale going forward, I actually started eating my words, saying, no, this is getting a lot better. They're doing really well with this. I'm really liking Lorca. I even compared Lorca to Kirk and Cisco a couple of times. I thought he was doing wondrous, and then they got just stupid towards the end and lost me again. But, I hope they can do it. You can fix by saying that either the Prime timeline got corrupted to its core, and it's either fix it through genocide or leave it alone. Okay. You talk about the Klingon ships. Here's an interesting thing. So next week I'm going to be doing a video on the 2009. I'll actually also be doing a Trek Yards. Here's an interesting comparison. Look at this ship. This is a Klingon ship right here. From Deep Space, or from Star Trek 2009. This is not your standard ship that you had, right? But they at least tried. They took something and they made their own version of it. But when you look at this, you say Klingon or Romulan. You can't do that with Discovery. I would have no idea they were Klingon ships. What if Nate Watson, again, always appreciated. What if Star Trek Discovery takes place in yesterday's Enterprise's timeline? Believe it or not, if it took... I don't think it would be far enough away if it took... Because if it happened in yesterday's Enterprise, or you're asking what would have happened, I don't know that we would have had the Discovery... or the Voyager at all. Here's an interesting concept, though. So we know that when Klingons, after they defeat a government, their enemy, they enslave them. And generally, they will ultimately become citizens in their own right. So I think that we probably would have started to see humans in Klingon-style, Klingon Federation hybrid ships. So this Voyager still might have happened, but it would have been drastically different. And I think that Voyager would have definitively been more war-focused. I mean, Jay Wiggs, I probably will do a P.O. box and let people do that. I mean, I appreciate it. Definitely, if you want to support the channel, I'm always for it. But, there's a couple other things I think I could do with that. I'd like to see some of the Enterprise, DS9, Voyager characters return to the series before they get much older. Are you talking about... I don't want to see any of the characters return to Discovery. Would I support a full reboot of Star Trek lore? I would be willing to give it a hell of a chance. I was talking about JJ Verse before and how I don't hate JJ Verse. So I would definitely try it out and see where it went. Again, Discovery is a lot more palpable to me if it happens in an alternate universe. Part of my frustration is the huge agenda pushes and where they go from there. Would you guys like me to watch the season 2? The only thing that worries me about that is to get caught by a bot for DMCA or whatever. I can watch the Discovery season 2 trailer if you'd like me to. I don't know that I can play it live though. That'd be my only concern. Let me know. 1, if you guys would like me to watch it, even if you can't listen to it with me. 2, if we should just keep going. I also hate that the Klingons now have they are endowed with 2 appendages than 1. I believe that Discovery will show us a great cataclysm in the Federation, which will cause everything to become as we saw them in the original season. Well, if I'm watching it, I'm probably not going to let you guys hear it. That's the thing. Dakota Stanton helping out the channel, as always. Guys, I appreciate when you help out the channel. It's completely fan-funded. I can't rely on YouTube, so stuff like this really helps me out. This really isn't that big of a battle. The Expanse clearly wins. Sure, I think most people would say that too. All right. Let's take a look at it. And then we can discuss it. If you guys haven't watched it before, it's going to be right here. I'm going to watch it really quick. You guys are going to hear it. live. If you want to see it right there. You're not going to be able to hear it, though, nor see it. But give me a second. So let's just do this. It's 2 minutes. We may do a scene by scene. I'm not going to sit here for 2 minutes and just watch something. I hate channels that do that. If Discovery does have a season 2, it does. Will Discovery make first contact with the Necrons or the Orcs? Probably the Orcs. Alright. So, we're taking a look at this. Cool, so we're seeing a lot more of the Klingon homeworld, because everybody loved the Klingons, so I'm really glad they're getting into that. Show me more of that. That's really just awesome. I don't think this is it. Can you guys link it for me? Because this is just the... Yeah, this isn't it. Somebody lied to me. That's not it, guys. I apologize. I don't know where the season 2... Maybe it's right here. Yeah, it's right there. Nate Watson up in the house. Does Star Trek even have a prime timeline? Indeed it does. With all the time travel shenanigans, it's not really a timeline. It's more of a time shipping container of plastic kudzu melted in the microwave. Prime timeline is anything that is consistent with the original series going into the next generation. Anything, technically, again... anything that the IP holder says is the prime timeline is. So CBS is the time timeline. But that's what pisses me off. Alright. So again, this is starting off great too, though. We have the Klingons. Oh, good. Michael in the background. That's always a fan favorite. Sometimes down is up. All right. I once was lost, but now am found. This is the perfect show to do biblical references. So I'm glad they got that. Laura, you're still watching the wrong... I never watch the wrong video. I always watch the right video. It's just the video that's wrong, not me. At all. Yeah, I don't know which one it is, guys. You'll have to link it to me then. Because... I don't even know that Season 2 exists, to be quite honest with you. Doctor Who canon is... Oh, yeah, Doctor Who canon. Doctor Who, the timey-wimey thing, they use as an example for everything. So they don't care about continuity at all. I'm curious, because officially we haven't seen the first contact between the Federation and the Cardassians, and part of me is willing to bet it may be touched on, but it's just a thought. I don't know. I don't think they're going to do that. Maybe they'll do that, but I don't think so. Just because there's just a lot into that. I think that a lot of this is going to be Section 31, Evil Georgiou. Beyond that, I can't honestly be sure, to be honest with you. I love how the trailer has a trailer. How's that work? Patrick Stewart said he'd return to Star Trek if there were a special event. Good script. Do you think Picard would be well received in New Trek? I don't think I'd like to have Picard in New Trek. At all. And so it is my extreme hope that they don't do that. I'd be very disappointed. I just want a show set after the Dominion War with a non-Enterprise ship with frequent guest stars from old shows. A war with Species 8472 and exploring the remains of the Romulan Empire would be cool. I would love, someone pointed this out, I would love a Dominion War video or series. I think that'd be very, very cool. I'd be very interested in that. A Dominion War movie. It doesn't even have to have the original set. Yeah, I think this is here. So, yeah, I'm looking at this. This isn't a season 2 trailer. This is just people jacking each other off to the fact that they can put sets together and make them look nice. There's nothing. I mean, we're seeing a couple of new things, but this doesn't tell me anything. They're using the old... Oh, God, why am I watching this? You know the best way to show that your stuff is bullshit? By referencing the old Trek that was actually good. I'm sorry, I don't mean to curse. I try to keep it PG, but... Jesus Christ, you know your stuff sucks. That's why you continually put old Trek in there. That's why I'm hearing Spock. That's why I'm hearing Captains of Old, and I'm barely hearing your main showrunner, Michael Burnham. And you know why you're not showing me the effects? Because you know it's garbage. It's very impressive how you put the set together. I get that. It's really cool. It is a technical marvel. I'll give you that. It's a beautiful show put together, but you're not showing me the actual season because it's fucking garbage. All of it, just fucking shit. That's exactly what it is. Come back to me when you have an actual trailer. Not this guy. I don't even want to exit. Don't even want it on my screen. If Stewart participates in the Tarantino Trek movie, then it could be possible that the reboot will no longer exist or be merged with the Prime Universe. I hope they don't do that. I'd be interested. The show literally just started filming. If it just literally started filming, then I shouldn't be seeing a trailer for it. I mean, don't do a trailer 4 days into the show if you don't have anything to show me. You know how I know what you're referencing in here is good Trek? Because I watched every one of those episodes that had the people in Trek. If I wanted to hear Spock, I would go watch the original series, or by God, JJ Verse, who did it better. The trailer is recycled cutting room floor nonsense. I agree. You know, I'm not even against a season 2 trailer. I'd be very interested in seeing it and giving it a chance. That's not a season 2 trailer. This is symptomatic of everything that is wrong with this show. You say it's one thing, and it's not. You boldly lie more than... I mean... Seriously, who is their department that is putting out these, putting out the information, the info packets? I mean, is CBS... I don't like people lying to me. And I feel like they're liars. And you know, here's the thing. If I hadn't felt like they had so boldly done this in season 1, I wouldn't be as critical of this. You know what I'm saying? Let's say I hadn't seen season 1, and this is what they did 3 days into it. All right, I'm out of here. Laura isn't reading or paying attention to things, says Edricon. Edricon, thanks for stopping by, buddy. The way this works, I'm reading exactly what you guys say, but if you've ever watched it, the way this does work is that I will go off on a tangent or start talking for a while. It may not be your cup of tea, but I'm still watching it. But yeah, it's just the way it goes. Great passion from the lore, says Jimmy1985. You know, the funny thing is I don't like being like that. I honestly don't. I know that people enjoy when I get angry, and people like drama, and people like emotion to that degree. But I don't. I would love to be just positive about all that stuff, because that's the reason I originally made it. You know, for instance, one person I really liked, I think his name's the Happy Console Gamer, maybe not. I like the concept of just doing something without drama. One of the reasons I left things like one of the reasons I used to do political stuff and religious stuff. In fact, I stopped doing that to do the Lore Reloaded. And one of the reasons I stopped is because of stuff like that. And I just very, very disappointed. I don't trust anything they say, and that doesn't help me out. That's not a trailer. While you're getting heartbroken about this, how about the new Star Wars prequels and sequels? The Anti-Tracker is doing a wonderful breakdown, in fact. An absolute wonderful breakdown of the entire The Last Jedi movie. I would suggest it. Start at the beginning. He's done like 17 parts or 23 parts or something, some stupid number like that. And he caught a lot of stuff that I, in fact, missed. But the prequels I don't hate as much. I didn't like them when I first watched them. The sequels that we've come, The Last Jedi, The Force Awakens, there's a lot of writing issues. Let me get back to that. Let me look at what Nate Watson says, and I'll come back to that, because I have a theory. Nate Watson, if you were held at gunpoint and told to be the head writer of a new Star Trek series, what would you outline for the new series and why? I think I've really discussed this. If I was to write it, I would do a post-Voyager series. But my series would have a warship. It would have an Akira class, probably. It would have a warship. And here's the way the basic synopsis would happen. It would be a what am I looking for? It would be a exploration of a post-war Starfleet that has some elements that want to go back to being explorers, and some elements who believe that they can't allow the Dominion to occur again. And so it would start out, for me, you would have the Akira-class ship running a patrol along the Cardassian border. And there would be discussions about how it's still being run like a military. You'd have, the crew would be somewhat divided. Mainly it would be people who were very military. Some people would want to be explorers. There would be discussions about the Cardassians wanting to become a part of the Federation. At some point, you would have the captain receive a message, like we see in, what was the name of it? Where you had the aliens with the little, in TNG, they did some kind of secure message, captain's eyes only, and basically the Starfleet was being overrun, and you had those little aliens that went into your spine, and they had the little thing come out, and they made you, like, powerful. But I forget. It would be a captain's eyes only. He would show up on the Cardassian neutral zone, let's say, or in occupied Cardassia. Find another Federation ship. The captain there would talk about something brewing within Starfleet. A coup going to happen. A Starfleet military wanting to take over and just become authoritarian. The ship would ultimately explode, and the first season would be an exploration of people who want to be, what should the Federation be? What should Starfleet be? And it would be on the brink of Civil War, but not actually get there. And then you would have the season 1 finale be Civil War. But if I was running it, if I did it, both sides would have a point. Both sides would have good arguments. I enjoy stories that have gray in them, where both sides have legitimate. The best villain is a hero in his own story, right? And so I think that there would be some very interesting dialogue where both came out. That would be what I'd do. I know that isn't everyone's cup of tea. It's definitively not Gene Roddenberry Star Trek. But you asked me, what would I put together? That's what I'd put together. And it would again, it would probably end... Christopher Mitchell, if there is no canon, there is no discussion here. What exactly was out of canon of what I just said? I'd be curious to know what specifically was not canon in that. Everything was based off of Deep Space Nine and Voyager. What would be the series? I like naming it after the ship. So I don't know. Whatever we decide the ship would be, I've always enjoyed that. Well, the Next Generation wasn't named after the ship, but I don't know. But I mean, you know, that is the Civil War seems to be the natural next step for the story of Star Trek. Honestly, simply because for generations upon generations upon generations, they were a peaceful organization that always hit second. Then you have what is basically their World War II. And now you have a fleet of battle-hardened captains who are just pissed off that because of the way the Federation works, tens of thousands to millions of people die. But you also have those explorers to say, we're an exploration. That's if you want peace, if you don't want an authoritarian regime, the price of that is the deaths you see. And I think that's the natural progression after Deep Space Nine. It's unrealistic for it not to go that way. With the destruction of Romulus, Starfleet basically exploring what was their space in the old neutral zone would be neat. I don't agree with lore on the Civil War idea. Okay. Darren Wagner agreed. Exploration, trust but verify. I mean, they could do a Gamma Quadrant. That'd be interesting. That would be the new frontier. The Gamma Quadrant, then you can do whatever you want in the Gamma Quadrant. You'd still have the Dominion. The Dominion would still be powerful. They'd still always be a threat. It would be their turf. Paladin Demo, would the Civil War take place during Voyager? No, to keep it in canon, everything that's occurred would occur. It would be after Voyager returned. There was no Civil War during Voyager. I differ, but the Federation had wars with other factions. What exactly makes the Dominion War an exception? Hundreds of thousands dead, the Federation almost being completely destroyed within 3 months of the war. Their willingness to become a part of Section 31 and help Section 31 become prolific. 900 million Cardassians dead. The Klingon fleet, Klingon Empire, completely destroyed, almost completely destroyed. The Cardassian Union now solely focused on trade with the Federation and others. There is the differences between other wars and the Dominion War is the difference between the United States and Russia. Vastly different. Epoxy muffin, interesting idea. Mysterious wave of energy spreads across the galaxy and destroys all warp technology for a period of time. Could be an interesting couple of episodes or a longer underlying story. So here's my other thing. Gotta go, Andrew. Thanks for coming, brother. Thalgrund. Thematically speaking, this Civil War idea could be very interesting. It would essentially be the ideals portrayed in the old Trek Starfleet versus those of the new Trek Starfleet. That's exactly what I would go for. So, and that's why I think that that's a good idea. First off, I think the Federation has grown too large, but beyond that, you do have TNG era people who believe what they believe, and then you have the war-weary veterans of the war. And so, the soul of Star Trek is at hand. At Deep Space Nine changes the soul of the Federation, of Starfleet, of what they were. But you can't just change something without repercussions. And I think those repercussions would be an interesting idea. And it would... You'd have to find a way, because this could potentially split the fan base. But if you could split them in a good way, how interesting would that be? If you could have the more peaceful TNG, people who love TNG, backing one side and just having these interesting arguments with the people who back Deep Space Nine. And this, it doesn't even necessarily have to be on a grand scale, right? Make it... Do this. They constantly, when you look into the lore in the background of Star Trek, for some reason the writers constantly want to have Vulcan pull out of the Federation. Multiple times in... at least once or twice in TNG that was discussed. Once or twice in Deep Space Nine. And I want to say the original series, but I could be wrong on that. At TNG and DS9 I know for sure. Alright. We don't even have to go with what I just said. So, similar stance to what I was just saying, but the discussion is over Vulcan voting on a secession from the Federation because Starfleet is not willing to give up its war, its war nature since the Dominion War is gone. And so you have Vulcan, you have, I don't know. I mean, there's other, you have Beta Z, and you have, I pick random planet. The planet that's apparently 100 AU from Earth. That one. And all of them are pulling out. Vulcan, Beta Z, and planet X7352 are pulling out. So this starts to have tensions between the Vulcans and the Andorians. Two that have come together, but they used to not. Andorians and Vulcans always fought each other. So Andoria is getting pissed off about what's going on in Vulcan. And so now you have Andorian ships on the border of Vulcan demanding that Vulcan stick to its treaty that allows Andorians to go to Vulcan. And there's this standoff, and now you have the Starfleet Akira vessel showing up. And so you have now two member worlds, core worlds, about to fight each other. And in the middle is the Starfleet ship that you're following. Make it a border issue and a secession issue. Not full out. We don't even have to do a full out war. And who do you choose? Which side do you go on? Are you with the Andorians who are trying to honor the treaty? Who are trying to keep this federation together? Or do you side with the Vulcans who have the right to secede if they want to? And let's just throw something in. Let's throw in a distraction that really doesn't come from it. But the Romulans always want to have a presence on Vulcan. And so Romulus comes out in full support of Vulcan secession. And so now you have this in the background. Are they, aren't they? pushing the Vulcans to do this? Is this really what Vulcan wants? And so if this isn't what Vulcan wants, if this is Romulan, then do we push forward and instate Starfleet officers on Vulcan territory? Darren Wagner says Romulus was destroyed, lore. Sure, but not all of the Romulan territory was gone. It didn't kill all the Romulans, so you would still have Romulans. I don't necessarily agree with that either, Darren Wagner. Not necessarily you, but a lot of people think that since Romulus was destroyed, the Romulans would just be gone, that they wouldn't have an empire. But if you remember, Kronos was destroyed. I'm not even talking about Discovery. Kronos was destroyed in Undiscovered Country. And the Klingons came back stronger than ever. So, can my thing be a cat? Yeah, it'll be him. He'll be in charge. He's a Cation. Kronos was destroyed, Sequest. I didn't believe it at first either, but go back and watch the Undiscovered Country. When Praxis was destroyed, resulting in the destruction of Kronos, ultimately. It's in there. Go back and watch the movie. Praxis was destroyed, which resulted in the destruction of Kronos. I'll bet you guys $100. $100 right now, cash money. I'm right. You do that, Sequest, and then you give me my $100. Editor's bath. Is he? Oh. The RSC is almost as big as the Federation, and they have a well-established chain of command and heavily stratified society. Exactly, they wouldn't be destroyed. Sequest says you got it. I promise you, man. I was actually Anti-Tracker corrected me on that because I said that. I was like, well, Kronos was never destroyed, and yeah, it was. It was. It would be destroyed after because of what happened to Praxis. Ultimately, Kronos could not be lived on. It would have to be evacuated. Absolutely. Go watch the movie. You're welcome. The Praxis killed Kronos' atmosphere. It did, Josh Street. Yes, it did. Nope, it was a different Kronos. They moved and made second Kronos, Daniel's Hot Topics. Jonathan Stevie, I am right. It was ecologically destroyed, not physically. Absolutely, which is what I said. No, I was surprised too. Sequest. I've never heard that before. It's like one sentence that could be easily missed in the entire thing. It wasn't even that big of a deal because they were making such a big deal of Praxis that the Kronos thing was just like one sentence. I missed it too. Again, that was something Anti-Tracker pointed out to me, and I had to go back and watch it because I was doing something. We were talking about yesterday's Enterprise and the war, and he was talking about, after they established a second Kronos, which they would have had to, they then started rebuilding their economy. I was like, what are you talking about? And he was right. It's actually in there. But it's really small. The fact people don't notice it doesn't surprise me. I do this for a living, which is why I should know stuff like that. Given his approach and work on District 9 and Elysium, how do you think Neil Blomkamp would handle a Trek movie or miniseries? Better than Discovery. I don't know. I'd have to think on that, to be honest. According to the movie, after Praxis blew up, the Klingon homeworld would be uninhabitable with 50 years unless they got help and aid from Federation. They needed the help and aid to assist in the economy. Kronos was a lost cause, though. A second Kronos? Really? I must have slipped in a parallel reality because that never happened before in my perspective. Daniel's Hot Topic. Go listen to it. Go rewatch it. Yeah, and so here's another thing that's really confusing about that. the Undiscovered Country was made during TNG. And so there's things that are inconsistent in that because they were made at the same time. So the destruction of Kronos wasn't something that the writers of The Next Generation knew. And so that could have been it. Yeah, the re-terraform, I don't get that from the movie, honestly. Because when they say they're going to give aid, it makes it seem like they're going to assist in helping their economy grow and things, but not fix Kronos. Now, maybe they re-terraform the entire thing, but that's not what I got from it, to be honest with you. Kronos was saved by the treaty with the Federation. Spock says that because of their enormous military budget, they can't combat the catastrophe. Kronos survived Memory Alpha. Well, if Memory Alpha says it, Darren Wagner, then it must be right. I mean, it just has to be. Because, I mean, it's a Wikipedia, and no one can impact a Wikipedia. Actually, I really like Memory Alpha. Trust but verify with Memory Alpha, but I really like them. They're a common source. In fact, if you look at my description, I put them in there as a common source in the first one because they're one of the first places that I actually look like. Mr. Pete channel has to go. Goodbye, Laura. Yeah, I like being sarcastic. I really like Memory Alpha. I like talking to them on Twitter. They're good people. And I would suggest anyone use Memory Alpha when doing research. Sometimes I disagree with what's on the wiki, but they're good people. I like them in Wikipedia. Wikipedia is excellent. I remember the Admiral's meeting, they were talking about assisting in an evacuation. Yeah, so maybe I'm wrong when it comes to the terraforming project, but they talked about evacuations, and when they went back, there was a discussion about the aid. Nothing in that ever said terraforming. But, I mean, if that what you got, it still would have been destroyed. So, I mean, I still technically keep my $100. By 2318, pretty fast for the Federation at 50 years in the time limit. Yeah, that's the only thing about yesterday's Enterprise. Kronos had to be terraformed and saved, but they still were able to win a war within 50 years of Undiscovered Country. Seriously? Seriously? The proposed agenda is as follows. The total evacuation of Kronos has been calculated within the 50 Earth-year time span. Phase 1, preparation for evacuation. Okay. Fair enough. All right, guys, we're going to probably be ending it pretty quickly. You guys have any other questions or anything you want to talk about before we end this fun-filled show of funness? I got a couple of scripts to finish up so that you can get your, 12 that we'll have. Christy Rand, we got to work on that. You got to be able to see the Expanse and Discovery. Stream with 40K theories? Yeah, I like where I'm at 40K. We'll probably talk about that at some point. I'm going to start doing non-Trek stuff. So I'm hoping people will be very excited about that. Did you talk about the new Star Wars animated show? Nope. Not the hugest fan. Infinity War, any thoughts on if it's any good? I hope so. I'm going to see it on Saturday. I might talk about it at some point. Doesn't seem like a lot of people on this channel are that interested in it, if I'm being honest. But it'll probably come up at some point. But with that, I think we are going to end it there. Guys, I want to thank you so much. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe. And I'm going to see you on the next Lore Reloaded. Just kidding. We got Nate Watson. Can I get a shout out for Dead Coders Reviews? It's my blog where I review Code Lyoko episodes. So yeah. Nate Watson, you don't got to pay me for that one, buddy. You can always just shout out. I'll give it a shout out. I'll take a look at it myself. But yeah. Check that out. Dead Coders Lyoko Reviews. Next. Lore Reloaded.